Good morning and welcome to episode 100 of the Mugs Up Show, where today's title will be called My Addiction Story Part 1. Now, I sent this out on the Mugs Up page the other day. I said for the 100th episode, I want to do something special. And I thought, why don't I share my story of my own drug and alcohol addiction with everyone? I refer to it every now and then on the show, actually quite often, I think. And why don't I just go ahead and fucking tell everybody about it? Share my story with the masses. I'm not embarrassed about it. I've shared it many times in AA meetings. I've shared it with many team members, family members, and friends. Why don't I just fucking put this out there for everybody? If nothing else, one person might get a lot of help out of this. So that's what I'm gonna do. Now, I don't know how this is gonna go. I've never done it like this. It's all obviously going to be a series of episodes. I'm gonna try to choose really good starting and stopping points along the way so it flows smoothly. And so I think today I'm gonna start at the beginning when I was a child. That's where everybody's story starts. And so that's where I'm going to start. And, there are some, what's the word I'm looking for? There are some preconceived notions about addiction and how it works and who gets addicted and all that kind of shit. I'm here to tell you that addiction can come to anybody. Anybody out there can be an addict, no matter what type of situation you grew up in, how much shit you had or didn't have, who liked you and who didn't like you. It doesn't matter. Everyone out there has the potential to be a drug addict or alcoholic. And there are many different addictions: drug, alcohol, food, sex, gambling. And they all work very similar. They all kind of have the same foundation. And anybody can get them, or anybody can be an addict. So if you're out there thinking like, oh no, that's not a problem that could ever happen to me. Yes, the fuck it is. It's possible. Any walk of life can suffer addiction. And if it doesn't happen to you, well, you might have a close friend or family member it does happen to. And so, it's always just important to understand that it's a natural thing. And, if you are an addict, it does not make you any different or worse than any other human in life. It is just one of the problems you have to face, and everyone has problems. So, when I was a child, I was born into a really great family, a super, super loving family. When I worked through all of my shit with counselors and in Alcoholics Anonymous, I didn't find any typical really bad trauma in my past with my family members. I was not abused and stuff like that. So that was not something that caused my addiction. My addiction arose more from the starting and building up of very, very large insecurities throughout my life. When I was a young kid, I was extremely observant and concerned with everything going on around me and what all of that meant as far as the person I was. And so when I looked at the outside world, and I'm typically I would basically decide who I was and how important I was based on what was going on with all the people around me, which is a terrible thing to do. And but that's what I did. I just naturally did that growing up. And so all of these insecurities started to arise. All of this feeling that I was not good enough, or not as good as the people around me, started to arise, and started from a very young age. When I was little bitty, 3, 4, 5 years old, I was kind of concerned about the more like material bullshit that my friends had that I didn't have. My friends always had better toys than me. They always had cooler clothes and shoes than me. And those are things like, as a little kid, those are important. They're not fucking important right now. I'm wearing fucking sweatpants and some beat up ass house shoes sitting right here. But as a little kid, I would have never admitted something like that on camera. But I mean, it's the material stuff when you're a little kid is very important. And when you don't have it and others do, you start to get this feeling, or I did, that they are for some reason better than you or deserve more than you do. And it really starts fucking with you in your brain. And let me add, this is to no fault of my parents. That was just where we were in life. Money was tight. They gave us kids absolutely every fucking thing we needed. It's just that we didn't get a shitload extra than a lot of the kids that I ran around with did. And so I let that start creeping into my head. I think a lot of kids do. And it really started building this terrible sense of, I am not good enough. I am not as good as my friends. Into my teens, I started noticing other kind of materialistic bullshit, but then also some other stuff that wasn't material. In my teens, when you're younger and then going up into your teens, that's when you start going and having sleepovers with friends. And I started noticing, man, my fucking friends' houses are way nicer than mine. My friends' parents drive way nicer cars than my parents. That's when you get into athletics and you start playing sports. My fucking friends have way more athletic ability than I do. And that's when school becomes more important. And, I'm thinking my friends are way smarter than I am. They're making way more better grades than I am. And then all of a sudden you start getting interested in girls. And all of a sudden my friends had, more girlfriends than me, or better girlfriends than me, or whatever the hell it was. That went on into my teen years as well. And I'm constantly identifying all of this shit that everybody has or is doing that is better than what I have, that I am doing. And I associate that with me being a lesser human being. And then on into my 20s and 30s, I graduated college, I get out there, I get a job, and all of a sudden I'm looking around at my friends and it's like, fuck, they got better jobs than me. They're making more money than me. They fucking have wives. I don't even have a wife yet. They're making families. I don't even have a family yet. I'm a fucking, 25-year-old loser, and they're going on these trips. I'm not going on trips. I can't afford that shit. And it's this constant fucking bullshit game of like, let me compare myself to everyone else and find out why the fuck I am a worthless piece of shit. That's what goes on in my brain. That's what went on in my brain. And so, as I said, all of this stuff stacked up and just basically took me from being a worthy human being when I was a little bitty and wasn't noticing this shit to being a 25, 26, 27-year-old unworthy human being in my own head. I am not good enough. And when you get to a point to where that's basically how you feel all the time, that you're not good enough, you're kind of, at that point, you've also been on a journey for a while to find out what is it I can do or accomplish or say that is going to make me just as good as everyone else around me, because I'm tired of living in this bullshit world where I'm not good enough. And so you're on the search for whatever that is the whole fucking time too. And it's never coming to you. And the reason you're never fucking finding that is because you're already a great human being. You just don't fucking know it. You're already as good as everybody else. You just don't fucking know it. Addicts do not know that. And so while you're on the search to this, while I was on the search to find what was going to level the playing field with me and everyone else, that was going to make me just as important as everyone else and just as good of a person as everybody else, what I found was a temporary mask for all of the pain and suffering that my insecurities had created for me over the last several years. And that mask was booze and drugs. And that is a perfect stopping point for today, because tomorrow is where we're going to launch into how did it all get started? How did the boozing and drugging get started? So I hope you enjoyed part one of today about the insecurities that grew in my childhood and ultimately were the driving force behind my addiction to alcohol and drugs. With that, mugs up. We'll see you tomorrow for episode 101 of the Mugs Up Show. We love you.